Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is the third video about the approaches. It's a page 85, the relationship between theory and methods. So we got realism. A realist approach reflects two ideas: the existence of objective social structures like positivism. This involves understanding what something is, such as empirical evidence of crime. Secondly, the subjective experience and the social construction of reality like interpretivism. This involves understanding what something means. For example, how people think about what people think about and explain crime. So when we talk about the realism, basically realism got two things together. This is the amalgamation of two different approaches, the both previous one is positivism and second antiprativism. So in realism, are the realists, what they have to think about, they need to gel two different approaches together to find a better result, to find a valid result, more reliable. So what actually they take the both approaches. First of all, from positivism, they need to understand what is the crime or what is the subject, what is the problem, without interfering themselves. In realism, we got two things together: the positive approach and the interpretivist approach, and they take what is all about, what is something. This is taken from the positivism, right? And why this occur, why people think about this specific event, they take interpretivism. So in realism, basically, we got two things. While positivism and interpretivism emphasizes the importance of one or other of these dimensions, as I mentioned many times during my lectures, I mean, if we study positivism, they keep on emphasizing, accentuating on the specific things. I mean, scientific knowledge, scientific approach, right? So, uh, positivism or interpretivism, they emphasize the importance of one with each other. Realism argue that both are important. To adequately study crime, we must combine an understanding of its empirical reality. Empirical reality, it means experimental things, with its meaning to different individuals. Realism is sometimes described as post positivism. Both positivism and realism believe that societies have objective features that can be studied scientifically. See that? So it means one can say that realism believe on both things, believe in both things like positivism and interpretivism. But at the same time, realism more close to positivism because the perspective, the aim, or the essence of the approach, both positivism and realism, they are close to each other. Why? Because they want to learn society through experimental resources, scientific approaches, right? Social structures exist independently of the people who create them and are free and real forces that influence behavior, and both have the same point, both have the same agenda, both have the same statement. What? Our social structure, the institutions play the key factor. They play a very important factor in shaping the people behavior. It is more than confirmed. See that your free will is there, no doubt about that, but still see that we want to do so many things which is not appropriate, but we have fear. We don't need to do this because we are got fined for that thing. So obviously, according to positivists and according to realists, both are on a same agenda. And what is that? There must be some sort of influence of the social structure. I mean, people, whatever people behave, they are under the, it is compulsory, they are under the influence of specific things. Either it's a law or any rule and regulation. So it exists in society, especially in modern societies. People can't steal openly. They, I mean, for instance, in China, people have a sort of fear that they don't need to commit a crime, because otherwise, if there is a justice, obviously they have to pay the price for that, and they have to face the music as well. The influence of the social structures on behavior is, however, modified and changed by individual experience, meaning, and interpretation. While social structures influence everyone in a society, they do not affect all individuals in exactly the same way. This fact must be reflected in methods of studying the social world. Realist methodology is based on the belief that the social world consists of both structures with an empirical reality and action with meanings. So this paragraph is very important because it simply gives us the crux. What is we are trying to learn through this passage? See, it is a compulsory thing. No doubt about that. No doubt about that. There is an influence of society and institutions on a personal behavior. It is more than confirmed. No doubt about that. Right? One thing. Second thing is that what is important? The important thing is that when we talk about a person's, yes, obviously, see that people still crime. There is a lot of rules and regulations in Saudi Arabia, in Iran, or in modern, you can say, developed countries, but still people commit different crimes. So why they commit crimes? There are dozen of reasons for that. Sometimes, sometimes they are bound to do something because, for instance, they are hungry. They have lust. The thing is that the influence of institution is there on every single person, but still people are committing different crimes. So the implication, the influence of the social structure is there on every single individual. But how they take on this pressure, this take on this influence in a different manner. So every single person have influence, but the way they face their pressure, the dealing with this pressure is obviously different from person to person. To fully understand and explain human behavior, sociologists must be able to study the influence of both structure and action. This involves, now we are come to that point, what are the main points, what is realism is all about. We got a couple of points for that, using different methods, quantitative and qualitative, combining different form of data, while qualitative and quantitative data can be defined separately. They are inseparable within the research process. Quantitative data is only useful if it has meaning, right? While qualitative data is only useful if it has an objective. The idea that what is discovered is more important than how it is discovered. In other words, the sociologist should be flexible when it comes to choosing research methods and be prepared to use whether methods are most likely to produce a reliable research study with valid results. The last point, valid knowledge is created by studying the social world in its totality, in terms of social structures, social actions, and their relationship. So, there are key factors, there are key points we need to learn when we talk about realism. Realism is mix up of the both uh, approaches, positivism, interpretivism. First thing. Second thing is that if we want to get a very solid, reliable result, it simply depends how we mix both these methods to get a valid result. It is important. But this mixing simply depends, the proportion or the ratio simply varies from situation to situation. This is important to understand. In every single research, in every single the project we have, the mixing of both is important, but simply varies the percentage. For instance, 60% positivism and 40% interpretivism. And so even it is possible you can simply have a ratio like 50% positivism, 50% interpretivism. Why it is important? Because every single person, every single event, every single action has a specific, have a different, not, I don't need to say specific, have a different kind of consequences. So the people behave in a different scenario, so obviously result will be different. So if we want to get a very valid or a reliable result, the research must contain both positivism and interpretivism, because it is important to know what is crime, but it is more important to know why people commit crime. So if we understand why people commit crime, then there must be a sort of solution. To get a solution, it is important to learn both in an appropriate way. So this is, we have all today we learned about all the approaches we have in this chapter, just to understand what is society, why institutions are important, how people behave in different way, what is social structure, what is collective conscience, what is free will, what is action, what is reaction, what is creation, what is recreation, what is the meaning of contact, what is why it is important to understand, to interpret different events and giving different meanings to it. Jazakallah.